younger sibling, price tests the younger sibling, but notice eventually price goes through it, and that's kind of a bummer, but that happens all the time because, I mean, we have this area, let me draw, we have this area here, we have liquidity around here, pancakes,
Stop heaven.
sorry, oh yeah, yeah,
Stop on heaven.
exactly, so we have this kind of these uncharted market space here, and notice where price goes to. Let's try and find exactly where it goes to, about right there.
Bing, look at that.
And look at that. It goes to a white candle. And again, white candle is nothing magic. It's just simply the body of the candle is small relative to the range of the candle. Okay, here we had a really strong push. Is this supply? It's not. This is a reaction to supply. Okay, so you want to find the origin of that. Okay, and we have a white candle here and we have another one there. And so these two are related. But notice also that price went through all of these because price was trading sideways for an extended period of time. So this whole going down, testing these children again and again and again is going to do one thing, and that is it's going to remove all the pancakes. And when the pancakes are gone, price has to seek um, new pancakes. Price is always, I mean, volatility is a function of liquidity. That's what my mentor always said to me. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of times over the years I knew him. Volatility is a function of liquidity. And so you're going to see price move erratically and quickly and violently through thin markets, and it's going to move slowly during very thick markets. Okay, and so when you have a liquidity void like this, like a really strong push down, there's not a lot of buying or selling in here. This is price reacting to the buying and selling. The selling happened here. This is what happened. Okay, and so you have to look for the origin of these really strong moves, and this is normally where price is going to move to eventually before it turns around. So price was messing around here for a while. We moved above these highs, stop hunts. We even formed this pretty convincing area of demand just here. We had a really nice cutaway, but it's just price seeking liquidity. This isn't demand, this is price searching for sellers. We're advertising these higher prices, we're moving higher and higher and higher. When are we going to get some sellers? When are we going to get some sellers? At supply, and then price finally turns around.
So, Nick, do you want to just give me the screen as well, mate? And I'll just go over that exact same setup from a stop on
It's all
perspective.
yours.
Cool. Um, oh, hang on. Could you clean that up for me, mate?
Yeah,
And
of
then I'll
course.
go at it. Thank you.
Do you want to? I'll give you the manual drawer. Go on then.
There we go. Level. Prior support becomes future resistance, right? Level, entry cheese, stop on. Damn.
Yeah. And then this one here. I mean, those on the left of those three smiles. Then you have that white, the red counter that cuts through that. I mean, those three smiles, they are reacting to demand further to the left that we can't see. So you have to ask yourself the question, what area of supply remove that demand? And then you can see that's exactly, well, roughly where price went to, right there. Because that's the one is responsible for consuming the demand that those three smiley right there, that those are reacting on. One, two, three, yeah.
Okay, cool. So hope that answers your questions, Brian. Dimitri, hi guys.
Hey Mark, you're a bit muffled. I can't hear you.
Oh,
That's better.
okay.
There we are. Perfect.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're
Sorry,
back.
guys. Dimitri, hi guys. Thanks for the webinar. Could you please do an analysis on the dollar CAD on a 4-hour chart? Recently, it looks like it was stop hunted multiple times and went lower. Pretty confusing at the hard right edge. The third time was the final one in the middle of the night. No, okay. Let's have a look at that.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look. And so what I always like to do, I like to start on the big time frame so I have the kind of macro view. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we had a real turnaround at this point here. We had price turned around, something in there. Oops, don't want to do that. We had something going on there. So this is for the monthly chart, the beginning of the sell zone. Okay, and so notice here that we also have, zoom in a little, we have this here, which is a child, because it was established as a result of this area. then price went into it, and so now we have to mark off the beginning of the sell zone, which is here. Okay, so now we go down to the smaller time frame, go to the weekly, and you can see, this is where it went to. So we'll remove that, and this, we'll mark off our weekly area, which looks like that. Okay, so this is a really nice area of supply. Price tested it, and notice that when price left here, we didn't do anything. We didn't cause market structure to fail. We didn't do anything, and so that tells me that this is not supply, but this is a reaction to supply. So this is price feeding up into fresh pancakes, and then we saw some selling occurring there. This is on the weekly chart, of course, so keep in mind this could be it could take a long time to unfold, but on this time frame, I'd want price to move above this high before I started to sell. That said, note that we did have price move here. We had this candle that closed above. We went like that, okay. It was tested. This one went a little bit deeper. We went below this one here, and the origin of the move that went all the way down here below this low is here, right there. So I'm just going to remove that. That one's pretty much gone. So you see price came down, the slingshot was pulled back, and it went down. It's not very clear on this time frame, so I'm going to have a look on the smaller time frame. And you can see here we have daily, we have this here, but you see there are almost no pancakes left on that plate, so that makes me want to move to a smaller time frame. I'm just going to remove this one for the time being. So what I want to do is I want to look to the high here. Good, and I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart and see if there's anything in there that looks interesting. Yeah, and you can see right there, look at that, one slingshot, two slingshot, a little bit deeper. So that means an attractive price for this would be at the cheapest the highs of this. And look at this, test, supply, removed it, slingshot, boom, the big slingshot, boom. And so the beginning of the sell zone is here and higher. We're not that far from it if we zoom out. Oh, quite far. But that, I think, is a pretty attractive area of supply. It has been tested, but price has barely even moved through it. So what you can do in a situation like... Sorry, go on.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, so if it did go higher in that scenario, where would the supply be higher up for a stop hunt type situation?
Yeah, well, you can see price went here, but notice that this candle closed below and the slingshot was pulled back to here. So we actually have an area that looks more like that than anything else. So here we have the area here. But oops. So if we look at this. Oh, come on, charts. There we are. And so you can see here how price went up there. We had another go there, and this is kind of where price has not been yet. And notice that, since this high to this low, price has already been, for this one here, price has already been to here, and price has already been here, price has already been here. And so I'm very confident that this is going to continue to move higher because there's nothing to sell, there's no selling until at least here. This is even a lower probability because this here is a child. What we could do is we could have a look in here, and then we can look for potential stop hunt. So if we go there, let's go to the smaller time frame and have a look inside that little one. And we'll have it.
Dimitri, can I ask if you mean long or short? Because I just need to understand the question a bit better.
Yeah.
So make one.
So here it is. So it looks like that on this one here. But looking at that, I'd want to go above these highs here. And so price is probably it's poked up to there, and so a lot of people are probably gonna wait for price to come up to this area of resistance and come down, maybe have their stops above here, and price is going to want to move through this. It's going to want to move above these highs before it starts to attract the sellers. And ideally, and you have this one here, this one left We close below that, so we have this up here as well, and this is kind of the nice move that we like to see. So we have that one here as well. Um, yeah, but on the buy side, I mean, it goes both ways, of course. So let's have a look below price.
Oh, could you just scroll in on 4 hours for me, please, mate, on that particular chart, and just drag it to the right first off.
To the very edge.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, there.
Okay. So, can you give me the
Okay, it's
hang on.
yours.
Thanks, mate. Right. So what Dimitri's saying is, I'm guessing. So you're gonna have to tell me pretty quick because we don't hang around forever. Is it that level or is it that level? Which is the level? Is it? So I'll mark them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the question was, it kept going deeper. So what I'm assuming is Dimitri put his stop somewhere between 2 and 3, got stopped
Ah,
out, wanting to go long, and he's trying to understand why it went deeper.
okay.
Uh,
Right.
so he went in at 2.
A
Cool.
two. Okay. Okay. Cool. Let me have a look. Um, yeah, I mean, this is. I have to go to a bigger time frame. I have to see that move. I just want to put a line here so I can see it. You went in around here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me put that like that. Let's get to see where we are. Okay. Okay, and this one stopped you out, Dimitri.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's have a look. On the daily, yeah, on the daily, you can see here how we had this kind of sideways price movement, a really sharp move away. We had accumulation, and this one closed above that one, and the retracement was down here. This is a really messy one. But price actually reacted at the child here. You can see that it kind of poked into that because, I mean, this is an accumulation, and so ideally you want to be on the small time frames for clarity because there isn't a lot on the daily. But I mean, I must admit, when I see stuff like that, um, I would look lower because this is just kind of price, kind of levels on top of levels, price kind of like just thinning out, eating pancakes here, and so I would actually look below that. So I wouldn't have got anywhere into that. But you can see here, this one, this is a continuation. So this is a continuation pattern. It was formed independent of any other area. Price went up and then it came down. Then it went up, moved sideways, went up, and then this is nothing. This is just chop, kind of messy stuff. So price. Let's see where price went to. Yeah, I mean price went back to this parent, which had already been tested, and this is where it found buyers. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It kind of, I mean, looking at this, I mean, this is the parent. The child went almost all the way through it, so I would have expected it to move even deeper. That I would look, yeah, the very most expensive would be the lows of this because this is the clear pullback, and there's not a lot of clarity on this chart.
Hope that answers your question, mate. And by the way, kudos to you in terms of picking an idea to go long. It was the right thing to
Yeah,
do,
definitely,
but
definitely.
just mistimed. Um, and also, ultimately we've got to remember sometimes things do go beyond where we want them to. So. Question. Kevin, I have to admit I'm a VIP patient in P3 cycles. The best advice I can give to you is drop your risk to nothing. Like forget about anything about where you want to be with this thing. Nothing. Drop drop it to basically zero, and then write down all the different scenarios. So like, can I have the pen again, mate? Sorry.
Yeah, it's good. Let me do. Boom. All right. Or you.
And it's just really good. It's just really adding to what I was saying before. But write down all the different scenarios that you can be in profit. So you can be in profit just in this natural kind of like, 61% bull, very kind and very nice, right? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. But draw out that scenario. How are you going to feel here? How are you going to feel? I was taught to do this with a pen and paper. And then think about prices going vertically and maybe all the way at your stop. Sorry, all the way at your target. Then vertically and then all the way at your stop. Then grinding and never really goes anywhere and against you. Then just instantly going against you. Draw this out. Get a pen and paper. Do the work of all the different scenarios that you think can play out. And there are obviously there's a few, but it's not endless.
Mm.
It's not perfect, but it's not endless. So you can, when price is screaming against you and you feel that pit in your stomach, like, ooh, like I want to cancel my stop, you know that is the moment not to do anything. And when you've delevered, this is the perfect way to interact with this stuff. This is, in my opinion, the absolute like pinnacle of what you've got to try and understand. Of course, you've got to have great strategy, and you're getting great strategy explained to you, and you're going to continue to get it. But ultimately, none of that matters if you then take the strategy and you can't interact with P3. So I'm just saying again, delever. Like, it's not advice, but if it were me, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't even be thinking about the money. I would want to turn down the volume on these predictable points of pain and pleasure, and then you can learn to interact with them.
I did a webinar for FX Street maybe a few years ago, and it was about fears and trading. And at the end of the webinar, I think I have a recording somewhere, I can share it. I have an exercise that gets you acquainted with a negative or all sorts of emotions when you're trading, and essentially it's find an area, a trade, some kind of a level to trade on, get a micro lot on a live account because you have to have real money, put the trade on and put it on the 1 minute chart and just watch it and dwell on it, and just like be with those feelings of happiness when trade moves in your favor, and the feelings of dread, when it goes against you, and just
Document it.
learn to be comfortable with whatever happens.
Yeah. And learn as it's doing it to you
Yeah,
how you feel, and then just then realize that's your training moment to then go, I'm okay, I'm cool with this, it's all right, I understand, it's just one trade, it's not a thing. Because the more you can like drop its impact to nothing because you're looking down the road, the more it becomes almost stupid that you're having those responses, right?
yeah,
You're still having them unless you're like some type of psychopath. You're still going to have them, but you can rationalize them. You can turn the volume down on them. And as I say, when you're learning this stuff, just drop that volume, and as you totally rightly said, just interact and but document it. What was Price doing? I've got. I'm not even joking. I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of. Um, uh, I'm old school. Little notebooks just filled with every single scenario you can think of. Anything that I always thought I was weak at, I always try and gravitate towards becoming better at. And but there is a caveat to that, and it's worth mentioning. Don't do that at the expense of the area, the niche in which you're trying to trade. At the expense of that, once you settle on an idea, don't go down another rabbit hole because you will be lost forever. You've got to go, okay, does this make sense to me? Yeah, it makes sense to me. Cool, I'm going to commit to this idea, because it's very easy to do that. That's a bit of a side note, but
yeah. And also, I mean, I know a couple of guys that trade without stops, and I don't know how they do it. And I feel really fortunate in the situation that my stop gets hit, because I'm in pain and my stop gives me instant relief. And I know that I'm not risking more than I can psychologically and financially afford. So if I take, I normally trade about 1/4% per trade, and if I take that loss, I almost feel relief. Oh, I'm glad I got out of that. And then you kind of And you watch those. I mean, I watch my friends have some of these guys in the trade room, and they're in these trades and they're not using stops, and they're going 1% drawdown, 2%, 3, and some of them hold them as much as 50 plus percent drawdown. And then I ask them, I mean, why? I mean, why are you still in this trade? And the answer is because I don't want to take the loss. And I think to myself, well, wouldn't it have been so much more pleasant for you to take the loss at a quarter percent or half percent or even 1%, and then you could have used the rest of your money that now is tied up in the market to trade other positions. And I, yeah, I must say I have a very difficult time understanding these guys and how they can stomach these enormous drawdowns. It's beyond me. And a stop loss is instant relief. You're in pain. You take an aspirin. Pain's gone. Boom. It's
You literally are in control.
oh
There's
yeah,
only so many controllables,
yeah.
right? Um, we've all interacted with some heavyweight traders, and I can tell you for nothing, there isn't a single one of them who is just exposed to risk like that. Not one. And we're talking people who run billions. So yeah, do not do that. But don't also, like, we need to almost change the narrative and the conversation about a loss. If I can hear when someone, if someone like says to me, Mark, I'm having a nightmare in a trade or whatever, um, or I'm not getting it and stuff like that, and they feel down, I can hear that in their voice, their disposition. You can hear it because the shoulders dropped a little bit, they're a little bit sagged over, like, oh, I just took this trade and it didn't make me any money, and I took too much risk. It's not a loss if you execute on your process. Process is over everything else. It's over outcomes. It's over everything. How did you do relative to your process in terms of execution? That's where the happy and sadness should be, not in the outcome. And the word loss that we all are guilty of using um, it has such a negative connotation, because if you actually perform relative to your process to as near as damn it as you can for wherever you are development wise, we're all different, right? You've got to accept that. Then you haven't done any. It's not a loss per se. It's you just execute and it doesn't make you money. But it's not supposed to make you money on that day. That's again wrong thing. We've got to sort of embrace the fact that losing is as intrinsic as making money, and on that singular event, by event basis, it means nothing unless we're over leveraged and we're way out of process, which is, I understand it, done it several times, but that's not trading. It's also not our fault as well, because we get blamed for
Yeah.
that. Right, let's have a look at some questions. Brian, there will be some links if you're interested in some sites tools at the end. Sergio, many thanks for introducing us to Salad. Awesome stuff. My
Yeah,
pleasure.
thrilled to be here.
Yeah, Brian, same answer to that question, mate, regarding the white indicator. Dimitri, yes, we answered that question. Kevin, relating to the P3 experience that he's having a nightmare with, I'll drop my risk to 1% as of now. Kevin, I go way further than that. I drop it another 10%, mate. I'd go 0.1. Obviously, if I know you a little bit, so I know you can go to 0.1. If go to 0.1, mate. Forget making money in the markets or the attempt to make money in the markets. Forget doing it as of now. Focus on dropping risk to literally near zero, and then interacting with P3 is the best I can try and articulate that you should do, mate. If it's, especially if you're feeling that way, don't just halve the pain. Just take it to its lowest possible denominator.
Or just micro lots.
Interact. Yeah, and go P3, man. Go deep in P3. Will do. Cool, good man. Someone asked us to have particular. Oh, can we just go back to that chart again
Yeah, which one?
where we were in that?
Was it the gold or the
Where
dollar?
yeah, the dollar can 4 hour.
4 hour.
Drop down and give me the chart.
Or you.
Let's see if I did anything different. Yeah. Thanks, mate. Can you zoom in a little bit, please?
Mm,
Just once. Right.
okay.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So I see what you did. You did it off that level there, right? You've gone in here, and then you've been nailed here. I'm just trying to clear up Dimitri's experience. So I would have been more tempted to take that. So, Sarah and I are not going to agree on everything perfectly. The reason I'd be more, he would want it down in here is for what he's described. It's cheaper down here, and there's obviously more demand there. But the reason I would have been tempted is because, and we were all struggling with P2 guys. P2 is the execution on process. We all struggle with that forever. Savid's even admitted, his weaknesses to it today. In P3, right? Not P2 so much, but P3. We're all struggling with process. But what happens is when you get to a certain level of process, you're just not going to blow up. So, maybe I had a stupid trade, but I analyze it. I try and not do it tomorrow. That's the kind of way you interact. I kind of liken it to being in the swimming pool, swimming towards one of them big beach balls and trying to grab it with one hand. You can't do it, right? But what you are doing is you're moving towards the beach ball continuously, providing you're trying to focus on process and not be driven all over the place and losing that focus. Always, always, always. And honestly, if I can give you any bits of wisdom, is if you're going down a rabbit hole, or have one eye half open to ideas that can improve you, but be deadly serious about being committed to the craft that you're in. Now, I don't know enough to be an expert to talk to you about GAN theory or Elliott wave to the extent of an Elliottian. I can't do it. I have a general understanding of it, but guess what? They don't have the specialist skills we have in manipulations. That's because they've done that for 20 years and we've done this for 20 years. But the only way you get that you get to master your craft to the extent, it might say on my gravestone, he nearly mastered his craft. You know what I mean? We're all trying to master our craft, but don't be distracted unless you have a little look at something. You go, have that half an eye open. You go, wow, I think that could add, and this is how I felt about Sarid. And then you explore it. That's not going to drag you off in some random, place you shouldn't be. That's going to improve your process. So we're all moving towards that beach ball, but it's not perfect. And I just think that's an important thing to try and get across.
Actually, there's
Cool.
a detail here I forgot. I just want to show you guys very quickly. Okay, here you see how we had this area here, price dropped off, and then we had the beginning of the sell zone was marked off here. So that tells us that we don't know what it is, but there's definitely something in here, okay, that caused price to move like that. Look where price came to. Price went through it, and the origin of the area that took this out is this one here. So then you mark the one off that did it, and this is your entry.
Yeah, so it basically was there.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until you had the chart.
So that drop off on the left, yeah. Super cool. I'm just going to finish on one more chart, if that's okay, because we've had a monster session. If you could check out the Aussie dollar on a daily chart, please. And if you want to give me control of it.
Okay, go on.
Thanks, mate. So, stop on land. Prices have been coming down. Stops going down. Something changes. This is very typical stop hunt like pre-stop hunt price behavior. Sells off again. Interestingly enough, doesn't follow through. You get the entry cheese at the level. You get entry cheese, by the way, from those retracement traders who will be selling that. Where they're going to place the stops? Well, if they're smart, they're not going to go there. They're probably going to go above these local structures. You then get the sell-off, the entry cheese above the local structure. I know what he's going to say about the depth of these pancakes. so he can talk to that. We're in this trade, and I probably didn't get in it until somewhere near. Truth be told. So how could I have got in it here?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was there an ability to do so?
Yeah. Well, if we have a look here, I mean, we have a high, we have a low, and at about this point here, on this little mark here, we've reached about the 50% mark. So I would say from the lowest low about here. This is the buy and the sell. Come on, is there? And so you can see here that from around here we're at 50%. We're acting that little white candle there, and it's going deeper. So the pancakes are continuing to be moved higher. You got another one here. But if we look at this little piece in here, let me use manual tools. Okay, white candle. First, let's mark off that. See this one? There's that one there. Okay, that one's gone. And so, okay, looking up here, here we have a high. We have a white candle here. I mean, the high of the candle on the left is this one here. Just mark off the candle like that, and the high. Close. You maybe would have missed it. I'm not sure, but you can just looking at these distribution candles will kind of it'll bring your attention. But they're difficult because the context is everything. Because obviously you're going to see them all over the place, but you have to focus on the ones that are located in the right places. And so here we had an area of demand here. Okay, and this one, and the reason this is demand is because it moved above these highs, traded above these highs, and the area of supply that took it out is this one here. So at this point, I mean, this would have been the area of supply, and I bet you if we go to small time frames, we can find something in here that would have drawn us in. Maybe. Let's see if I have enough data. Yeah, okay. I mean, look at that. It reacted at the child here.
But even so, your R potential in that trade is outrageous.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't.
I mean, it's crazy, and also obviously this is like after the fact and cherry picking, but I mean the analysis doesn't change at all. It's the exact same analysis you're doing before and after. The price chose to stop at the child here, and that happens sometimes.
Yeah, and just on that point as well, like I talked about this trade, and there's some of my guys are in this in Korea trades, and that's a fact. We talked about this trade, and they're in lifetime trades, Korea trades. Because what we're doing is trading in hindsight in many ways. You can do the analysis off to the left and then understand what happens off to the right.
Yeah, but the most important thing is to look for the really strong pushes where you can see there's an imbalance in supply and demand. So you see the shift in liquidity. It has to be very visible on the chart, and then you have to focus on where the origin of the shift is originated from, and that's where you want to be looking to identify the parent-child relationship, and after that then you have your entry. And so that's kind of the process backwards.
Epic. We've got one more question. I don't know if you can do it on the platform, but someone was asking, can we have a look at Bitcoin?
Yeah, of course, we can have a look at Bitcoin. Actually, we covered this last time as well, didn't we? Bitcoin. Delete. Where are they there? Bitcoin.
Brian's asking, I guess, just there's no reason to do any analysis for this. Is there any instance when you would take a trade the child just in and of itself.
Yeah, if the market is trending, if it's kind of moving down, and you have, let me draw this. So if you have kind of like an area here where price is kind of starting to kind of move down, then I would certainly entertain the notion of a child, but I'd put my stop like well above the parent, and then I would kind of follow it down. But this is where I like to use trend lines as well sometimes as well. And if I have trend lines and children lining up nicely, then I'll take the child.
Cool, thank you.
So if we look at this, actually we had a really,
So last question, this one, guys.
yeah, let's have a look. Okay, yeah, we looked at this. I mean, here we looked at this last week. This is the monthly chart. We have accumulation. This is the candle that left. So that's the buy zone. This is what we're currently reacting at. This one, see, these are all related together, so there's no clarity on this chart, but there is here. We have something like that, but price didn't do anything, and so I wouldn't allow myself to do that, because when this area of demand has not accomplished anything. Okay, so we have to look for that on a smaller time frame. And here we have, so we had it very clear. We had this area. Yeah, these aren't very interesting. We have this one here, just like this. Okay, tested once, twice, pancakes going, 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 gone. The area that did it is here, but notice this is sideways, and so that doesn't look very nice. And so I would, if I'm more inclined on doing something like that, then I'll ask myself the question, has price been back here? It has, it's been back here. So I'd want to look higher. That's going to tell me that there's going to be a parent-child relationship. You can see a white candle. We have the high of this one, the slingshot. We have it here. This one is gone. The one that did it is this one here. White candle, deepest retracement. This is gone, so it's probably going to move through that on the next approach. But it's still going. We have market structure that's failing, so we have demand that's kind of driving. We have weekly demand that's currently driving price. So on the daily chart, I mean, here you can see all of these kind of levels on top of levels, like so. But here we can see that, okay, we had something in here. Tested, gone. The area that did it is this one. And this is kind of where the slingshot was pulled back, so I'm thinking below this we'll probably see some people start to reload. But I've been eyeballing this level here, kind of below here. This kind of closed above that one, or did it? Close. We just mark off the whole area. Kind of something that looks a little bit like that. I like that. Come on, because here we have the low, have the high, the buy side is in this leg here, the sell side is here. So I'd be keen to kind of sell here and higher, but I don't trade Bitcoin like that. I think it's kind of a strange thing to trade. But I would certainly look down here. I like that. I also like the way this broke away like that, so I would certainly have a look in here, which brings our attention to this, because the major slingshot is here. I mean, we have accumulation. These closed above the highs of that slingshot, boom. And so, I mean, you can see it was tested once, twice. So price advertises, I mean, $3,000 or 29.66 for Bitcoin. It's obviously going to attract a lot of speculators. Yeah, actually, on this one we had an in-depth look at Bitcoin. In the last one we did towards the end, like the last 30 minutes of the last webinar we did, we had an in-depth look at Bitcoin. So that might be of interest. Yeah, but the fact that price was able to remove this supply and cause market structure to fail would lend to the idea that there's something in here that we'd want to pay special attention to. So something down here. And you can see the big move comes from here. And so I would have a look in here somewhere on the daily chart. And we also have this one here as well. And then you ask yourself the question, I mean, which one do we trade, this one or this one? And the answer is you focus on the one that's closest to price. So this would be the first one. We also have this one here. When price left here, this is probably clear on the 4-hour chart. We had something like that. This price closed above this one here, and we had a small continuation pattern. We revisited, and then we left. It's been tested. We tested the child. Now we're working on the parent. And so we're going to move below this and probably have a bit of a bounce at this area, the 85.36-ish, and then this one, and then this one.